Today, I'm in conversation with Sabine Matharu, who is specialized in evergreen webinar funnels powered by YouTube ads. Sabine is a business strategist for female entrepreneurs. She has not only helped thousands of women start and grow their businesses, she has also authored three bestsellers with a fourth in the pipeline. She, as an introvert, has found how to leverage videos. You've got to follow her on Instagram and watch some of her reels. She has a strong handle on edutainment like few. Her approach to lead gen via webinars, not entirely a new idea, but is slightly different. She leverages ads and YouTube to get people's attention. But unlike many, her clients' webinars have a whopping 70% show up rate. She shares her entire process in her webinar playbook that you can download from the link in the show notes for free. Now, let's go through her signature process for leveraging videos as an introvert.
Welcome to the Impactful Introvert Podcast. I'm your host, Seema Pateel, an introverted business coach and a mom of two. My genius shines in helping introverted women map out a simple and sustainable marketing strategy tailored to their goals and introverted personalities. Every week, I'll share with you how you can simplify your marketing so that it is sustainable. After all, you started your business to serve clients and make an impact, not to master marketing. So, let's jump right in. Welcome to another episode of the Impactful Introvert Podcast with my new guest, Sabine. And Sabine is going to talk to you all about videos. I know as an introvert, you must be feeling a little uncomfortable thinking about it, but I assure you today's episode is going to help you a lot. I'll let Sabine introduce herself and tell you the magic you can create with videos.
Hey, thank you, Seema, for having me today. Actually, it may not be really videos. It's actually videos for introverts, let's say, because not everyone might be comfortable getting on a video, but there are ways for you to be able to present yourself without having to show up over and over again. And I think that's what we like, right? We like to put something in place that works for us over and over again, and us not necessarily having to be on any video. So it's going to be really exciting for me to actually share this with your audience, because once I found out about this, I was really excited, and I'm getting such amazing results from this. It's really a time saver in my business as well. And it's just more fun to actually work like this. And I think the listeners, as being entrepreneurs, just like I am, I think one of the things that we love doing is actually delivering our coaching consulting services rather than doing marketing and going around in circles, getting all these leads and doing sales and all that. So what I have for you today is actually really a solution to that. And so before I go into more detail, about me, I mean, I don't even know. Maybe I think I am an introvert, actually, deep inside. If you really think about it, I'm not super confident on video. Every time I'm thinking about, I've got to do a Facebook Live, it's like, I got to get ready for it and all that. So it's really about aligning yourself with who you are and how do you want to run your own business, because there shouldn't be the do's and the don'ts and musts and have to's and all that, right? So that's what I stand for. And so my specialism is actually I help female entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, course creators, healers, therapists, all sorts of spiritual teachers as well, who are very highly intuitive and also introverted, get their business out there and help them not only start the business but also scale their businesses, and it's all online basically. Yeah, that's a bit about me. I mean, I've also written a couple of books, so I'm also an author. Never thought I would, and just reflecting on the journey was incredible. It's just, you meet so many amazing people around you, and that's what I just love as well about this entrepreneurship. Otherwise, I'm a mom of two. I'm a very normal person as well. I do have also my challenges, so not everything has been plain sailing in my business.
You're so modest. You put it out so easily that you've written a few books and you're on your fourth one right now.
Very soon, like, I'll tell you a little bit about the books, because it's almost like, again, it's this be really great for people who are introverted and thinking, how do I present myself? What do I actually talk about? Because it was for me as well. It's like, I can't do this. But I was actually given the mission by my intuition, by the higher God, universe, whoever you believe in. There is something out there. And I woke up with a clear vision and that mission to go and provide a platform for 100 other entrepreneurs and leaders across the globe, to give them the voice so that they can share their stories. Because not everyone wants to write their own book. It can be quite difficult, right? If you think about it. So number one, listen to your intuition. And these books actually, there are now 3 books so far. The first one was called Rise in Pursuit of Empowerment. This was all about me rising and me getting the courage and connecting with the right people. So there's 25 stories in that book from other female entrepreneurs who have also risen in their lives. The next one was then called Joy, Recipes for Abundance. So we dipped into some of the quirky recipes, almost like a cookbook for abundance, which was really, really fun to write. And then, without really thinking logically what will be the next book, I just slipped into the pandemic. And then there was the next theme of the book, which was called Shift, A New Era Begins. And it was all around the pandemic and the awakening of all the people around the globe and what's happening. So quite naturally, the fourth book, I know it's going to be called Impact, and it's the impact and my legacy. So I'm going to take time and I will digest, listen to my intuition. It's not going to be, I'm not in a rush to actually get this book out because it's going to be my life's work. So yeah, very, very exciting, really, to have had this intuition. And I think, one of the learnings definitely is listen to your intuition, because you have your own unique gifts. You don't need to look at others, compare yourself, or think you should be further and different. You be you, you do you. It's very, very important.
That is so inspiring. Honestly, like, you have not just got yourself out of your shell, you have invited 75 other women to come out and share their stories. So inspiring. I know writing a book is a monumental task, and collaborating with multiple women is even harder, because I just participated in a bundle and I don't know how the people do it. Like, collaborations take energy and so much effort and time. So hats off to you for that. Um, I want to talk to you about videos though, because as an introvert, I've heard it so many times. I can't put myself out there. I especially cannot show my face on videos because I'm an introvert. I have a completely different opinion. I have my own, I had my own YouTube channel, which I had to put a pause on because of the pandemic. Like, I started just before in the first, Jan or Feb of 2020. And then I had to close it by October because it was getting too hard to record. But I want to hear your opinions, your views, and what your clients say when they are thinking of working with you versus when they're done working with you.
Okay, I think there are maybe 2 parts to this question. I did hint that there is a way for you to do video without actually being on a video, and this is what I teach inside of my it's called the Limitless Coach Success Formula, which is my flagship program for female entrepreneurs who want to have a consistent and predictable stream of income and create some sort of stability in their business. Because quite often, let's face it, we might wake up one morning, we're like, okay, what do we do actually today? What shall I be doing to get a client? And as strange as it may sound, we may have exited the corporate world because we had all these tasks and we needed to stay in a 9 to 5. However, a bit of structure actually goes a long way even when we are in entrepreneurship. And I think I realized that because obviously I wanted free time, freedom, and everything else, but it's the structure that really helps. So there's the question of like being on video, yes or no. And then I'm going to share with you what I do without having to be on video and be able to actually get the stability in terms of getting clients in. So being on video, I think, is a great tool. So video is a great tool because you can make better connections with people. You can have, I mean, if it is a bit weird though, I have to say, when you're on Facebook, you're kind of talking to yourself. And I think there's a few tricks around not looking yourself in the face. And strangely, when I started video, and it's a matter of practice, and it's to understand why would I want to be on video versus not being on video. So understand video creates powerful connections because people want to see, who's this person? Are they credible? Can I trust them? Do I like them? And quite often when you're just writing things or you're just hearing people, I mean, hearing the podcast is already a next step up from the writing, but sort of writing on its own, you don't cater for everyone's senses because some people are auditory, visual people, and then also people who prefer to read. So you got to really think about that. And then think about coming back to this kind of entrepreneurships, my job now and our job now, really. Would you say to your boss, if that task is to make a video, no, I'm not doing a video? Well, yeah, you would go and learn how to do a video and you'd be forced to do a video, right? Otherwise, you would have a bad performance review. Maybe you get sacked, who knows? So we got to approach our business as with a CEO mindset. And there is a lot of background underneath the surface work for that as well to happen because, right, I was there, right? I was shy, I was hiding, I wasn't confident. So I'm an introvert. But once you start doing the thing and you start to trust yourself more and more, yeah, maybe you're going to suck the first couple of rounds of doing videos and just don't look at yourself. My husband even said, your lip does weird things when you're talking. That one side that's just sort of not symmetrical. And I said, just leave me alone, right? So yes, so you got to shut out the critics and you just got to do your thing. And I think what helped me is to actually then focus on people who I was able to impact. Because when I came on video, it made a huge difference. And people said, actually, I was hiding for a few months last year because I had a family emergency and unfortunately, and then I was just out the game for a bit. Once I came back, people actually messaged me on Facebook and said, where have you been? I missed your amazing background. I've got this interesting wallpaper. And they're like, we really missed you. And I didn't realize. And when you get these comments or real love letters from people who you're impacting, I think that kind of really helps me jump over my own fear of doing things that make me uncomfortable, whether it's video or anything else in my business. We always have to push through this barrier, this growth barrier, because once we push through it, we've done it once, twice, 3 times, we now expand our capacity and our capabilities and our belief in ourselves. And then it feels a bit more comfortable for us, right? So bit by bit by bit. So that will be sort of question 1 answered, hopefully, around how do you push through the fear of video and why would you want to do video? And then there's the second question is like, how can you actually do video without being on video? And this is one of the things that the Limitless Coach Success Formula really focuses on, is putting in place a marketing tool, like a machine that runs over and over again. And it's called evergreen webinars. So evergreen means that it runs all the time without actually you being there having to do this presentation over and over again. And the webinar is an online presentation. And the way I teach it is, obviously there's webinars have been around for a long, long time. But there are things that just don't work anymore that worked previously don't work anymore. So we got to be really, really selective around and very strategic around how we create these webinars, and everything has to be dialed in to make sure that someone who doesn't know you goes through your presentation, and at the end of even less than an hour, would say, because attention spans are shorter and shorter, and there's lots of distractions. People have all kinds of other things that they want to do. So it's very concise what you're putting together this presentation. At the end of this presentation, people want to book a call with you. And that's for high ticket. Like if you're selling something that's above $1,000, then obviously people want to probably talk to you as well. Now you might say, oh, I'm an introvert, I don't know if I do sales calls. It's probably another conversation or a similar one to what I was talking about before in terms of the Facebook or doing sort of live videos. But the video, the webinar doesn't need to be you on video. You can actually use different tools, just like a PowerPoint presentation or a Canva presentation. You can put your bullet points up there and you can share screen, and you can just go on either directly on PowerPoint. You can directly record it on PowerPoint. I found that out actually when I was testing. I was like, because Zoom sometimes when you share screen, because obviously you could use something like Zoom, share the screen and then turn your video off and just talk through the slide. Sometimes the slides are a bit blurry. So I found that PowerPoint actually had an inbuilt recording tool as well. And if I make mistakes, again, introverts make mistakes. We can't do this presentation perfectly. We might want to have to cut things out and start to learn about video editing as well, which is a big headache. PowerPoint actually helps you record slide by slide. You can just pause if you need a break. You just talk to the slide, you pause it right there, and then when you're ready to record the next slide. And you could do the same thing with courses as well. If you are creating courses and you don't want to be on video, because some people creating courses where they're talking heads. But I'm a very visual person, so I like to create like workbooks, share my screen, and go through this step by step. So there you have it. You can be out there without actually being on video.
So many great points. And I want to chime in that yes, video feels hard in the beginning, but so did starting your business, and you still made the decision to start it. So does sticking with it day in and day out, even though hurdles come, you are sticking with it. So video is also the same way. It's like every new thing in life, sometimes things are less overwhelming, sometimes they are quite overwhelming, and video is on the other end. And even before you think about what do I say, how do I look, how do I sound, you need to work on your mindset of what about me makes me wonder, why do I sound like this or why do I look like this? When you have that self-awareness, then it becomes easier to shut the critics, internal and external, and actually focus on the content. Like content is important, but if you're constantly thinking about, am I looking normal? Am I sounding normal? Am I talking too fast or slow? Or am I saying so many filler words? All of these things are going to keep you from actually speaking with and creating the impact that you want to create with this video. Like there's a reason you want to be on video, and that reason will not be fulfilled. And I completely agree that videos help create a connection that especially text lacks, because I don't know if you have read Harry Potter. When I was reading, the characters looked very different. However, now after having watched the movies, I don't remember how my characters look. They have been filled in by these actors who are not real characters. And every time you're thinking of Hermione, you're visualizing that little kid who Emma Watson was. So there is no way you can not see the value in creating videos. And your introversion doesn't necessarily stop you from creating videos. It's your thoughts about how you feel about yourself. So maybe working on that. I would like to know if you help your clients work through their mindset in your signature program.
Yes, of course, we do a bit of mindset work, but I'm not a mindset coach, but I'm going at it in a very practical way. So we journal things that like obstacles, strength, weaknesses, like we do SWOT analysis when I get started. There's a couple of diagnostic tools that would actually uncover some of these blockages. And then I have a very step-by-step and fill-in-the-blank approach. It's almost like idiot proof, and I think it really helps them so much. And so many have come to me, they said, oh, I would have never been able to create this kind of ad and do this kind of presentation. So I tell them, like, stand up when you're doing a video that's already making a big difference. You're already feeling much more confident. And then drop into your heart. Don't think in your head what you're talking. Drop into your heart. Of course, we'll have a script for them as well. I have tools how they can actually read the script on the screen without having to stumble or having to learn it by heart. So there's many tools that I can provide for the clients when they come and they have these stumbling blocks. So we work through every single hurdle. And the biggest thing I have to say is always remember the impact you're making. It's called the Impactful Introvert Podcast, right? You are someone who has decided that you wanted more from life, that you are no longer staying still and just doing a 9-to-5 grind or whatever it is that you've been doing. You want to step out into the light somehow. So remember this, you have something valuable that you can give, and you have to shine that gift, or shine the light and give that gift to others. And if you just remember that, that's your mantra. It doesn't matter whether you're on video or whatever you're expressing yourself. That's what you need to remember. And that's what's going to give you the internal power and motivation.
Yes, so very well said. It's not always like mindset work is not always about journaling or meditation. It is also about leveraging the tools, getting support. And yes, when you're having a good time, as women, we go through the cycle and we have phases where we are feeling bold and ready to show our faces, ready to talk to people. And then there are phases where we just want to shut down. And during these phases, having someone support you, like having a coach like you to support you through the process, is going to make such a huge difference. I'm curious why you focus on YouTube for videos and not any other platform.
So so I don't just focus on YouTube. However, what I'm finding is the webinar structure, when we're talking about evergreen webinar, works best when promoted on YouTube. Let me explain. So just think back of a webinar that you watched. Okay, imagine you're on Facebook. You're on Facebook, you're scrolling, you're at a bus stop. Are you going to watch a 45-minute webinar in that moment? Maybe it's raining. Maybe you're waiting for someone to come out the shop. No, you're actually scrolling. The same with TikTok, Instagram, X. All these platforms are very much scroll platforms. And if people are, so we're talking about the front end now, about marketing the webinar itself. Of course, you can put it onto all of these platforms, but it works the best if you intercept a YouTube video of someone maybe that is a industry expert, is a coach or consultant of some sort who you look up to. So you can actually steal their people by going on YouTube. And now I'm not just talking about creating an organic YouTube channel, which is helpful, but even if you have got nothing on YouTube, you can run this strategy, because what you're doing is you're running YouTube ads, which will intercept that particular video because someone's already sitting there. Most of the time, people are ready to watch longer videos, because on YouTube, you don't just scroll and see like 10-second someone dancing like on TikTok, right? It's not just entertainment. You would go, and YouTube is also a search engine owned by Google. So it's super, super powerful because you can now target people who have searched certain keywords. Like, for example, I could target someone who has searched how to create or how it could be how to create a podcast, okay, or how to create a podcast for women. I can even narrow down. So there may be some websites or some search keywords, search terms that we can put into the YouTube ads. And then people are more happy to actually watch that webinar. And when I'm talking webinar, it's going to be a live webinar. It's evergreen. So that means once people register, it runs straight away within 5 to 10 minutes. Every 5-10 minutes, this webinar runs over and over again. So you can actually do lead generation 24/7, even in your sleep, without you having to do anything. You just take the calls.
That all sounds so dreamy, especially as an introvert, not having to be on all the time. However, I would like to know, like, is this webinar going to be something? Is this webinar going to act as a lead magnet, or is there another step before so that people warm up to me, like through the ad?
Yeah, so there are two trains of thoughts, and I think with everything you need to test it. So on YouTube, you can run it directly to the webinar. So actually, the webinar is the lead magnet. It's a value. So you're giving value. And when we're talking new ways of webinar, we need to give some value. We can't just go and pitch all day long. And it's got to have certain sections. That's exactly what I teach. You know, what exactly consists, what's the ingredients of a webinar that converts, because people need to get to know you, like you, and trust you within a matter of maximum half an hour, 40 minutes, right? And decide to book a call. So you could reverse engineer as well and say, okay, what could be a great lead magnet? So for example, for me, one of my lead magnets, which I'm going to share quite happily somewhere, probably below this podcast somewhere, you'll have a resource page going to my resources, where I have a lead magnet around how to plan out your webinar. And that makes sense. So I could actually run an ad, or I could post it on my social media and just promote the webinar planner. Then I know I'm actually attracting people who are interested to create their own webinar, because on the thank you page, once they've opted in, I can then say, hey, I happen to have a webinar that talks about webinar, and I'll show you how to do it.
That sounds like the most seamless way of taking a stranger into becoming a warmer lead, and then you do it again and they become hot leads. Amazing.
And it
Amazing.
happens really, really quickly with the webinar as well. Remember, often when we have a lead magnet, we get someone on an email list and we have to nurture them for a long, long time, perhaps. You know, with the webinar, they have another touch point, and it's a much more impactful touch point, because now you're teaching them something. They are realizing, or they're understanding what your expertise is, and you're giving them some value. So it's not uncommon to have sales within 24 to 48 hours of someone opting in.
That is amazing, isn't it? Like, who wouldn't want to have sales within 24 to 48 hours? I want you to talk about your entire process so that our listeners get an idea of, yeah, they know they have to run YouTube ads, do a webinar, and get on sales call. Is that the entire process? Do you have a process that you take your clients through? Can you briefly talk us through that?
Yes. So, I mean, I would say the front end can be flexible. Some clients don't want to run YouTube ads, or they don't have budget to put into ads yet. That's absolutely possible. One of my most recent clients, he's a love relationship coach. She just tested the webinar once we built it. So that's the first thing, is we built the webinar. That's step number one, because that's the core of everything. And then we have to align the whole process around all of this. So it is seamless, as you say. So I told her, go and ask for some feedback and just put it out there on your social media and send it to a couple of friends. And it was 3 people watched the webinar, 1 person bought her 3,000 program within a matter of a day, 2 days on a call. And she's like, oh my gosh, I was blown away. But I never knew that you were doing this. So it does work organically as well. People, you can post, you can send people an invitation. Now, that's the first step. It's the webinar. Actually, let's step one more step back. Before you do a webinar, you need to have a solid foundation around your business. You need to know who's your target audience, what's your offer, what's the pain points, what kinds of things do they want to address, what should be the title of the webinar, what can I teach? And also, a lot of people are making the mistake that when they're teaching something in a webinar, they're giving everything away. It's not about giving the how away, it's about the wow factor. So you want to wow people, you want to uncover myth, you want to give them some aha moments so that they know, oh wow, I want to work with this person because I totally agree that these are my problems. I understand that this can really help me, but they still don't know exactly what the steps are. And even if I'm now giving you all the steps, which I'm very happy to do, the thing is, will you be able to implement it yourself without actually having the detailed knowledge? Because now we're talking offer, positioning, messaging in detail, then seeding that into a webinar that has, let's say, psychological triggers in there in terms of the sales and how to build proper trust. So there's a lot of psychology inside the webinars that we create. So it can't just be any odd kind of slide deck and just cobble it all together, because it won't convert and you've done all the work for nothing. And once you've done that, and people say, well, you got to run this webinar a couple of times and see if it converts before you actually automate it. Well, that's actually not true. You can be testing something much quicker and actually automating it because you can have more people going through it. But as I said, with the lady I was just mentioning to you, with the love relationship coach, we tend to do projects that are first time right because we know the psychology, we know what works. And this is, I guess, the advantage of working with an expert who actually knows exactly how to put the pieces together. So once we've done the webinar and all the foundational work, then obviously we put the funnel together. So there's a bit of tech that needs to be, put in place. We've got something like an opt-in page, a registration page. So we've got to make that really exciting for people to see what it is that they're going to get. Some people overcomplicate the landing page, so opt-in page or registration page, whatever you want to say, and people get lost because they just scroll by this, close it, I can't be bothered. So we keep it really, really simple and clear to the point. After the registration, they get into another software where the webinar is being held. So you actually imagine you're going into a live webinar room where you can see other people live commenting. It's even the eye in the corners, like it's live kind of thing. However, we don't fool people. I never tell my clients to say, oh yeah, thanks for joining me live. We don't do this. We keep it evergreen. We don't fool people, and we don't do like false scarcity or any fooling around. Like, we are really honest and transparent. So that's my business motto as well, because we're all humans and we want to serve. We don't need those tactics. But I guess the idea is that people feel they are in a community and they're watching this together, and they can't pause. They can't pause or walk away. And that's the brilliance, because then you have their distractionless. They don't think, I'll watch it tomorrow because I've got the replay or it's a YouTube video. No, they're actually taking it much more seriously. And then during the webinar, there's a call to action. So basically, there is a bit of a bridge then again that will then lead into an offer. But again, we're not selling anything on this webinar. It's really about getting them on a call, and that's when you have that conversation. So then it links into book a call link, into calendar, And then obviously there's a couple of steps to filter out people who might not be suitable, because you don't want people on the call who haven't watched a webinar, or they're only halfway through, or they don't know anything about you, or they're not serious about investing, they don't have the money, right? We don't want people like that, especially as introverts. We just want to talk to people who are totally aligned and suitable, and they just come on a call and say yes, because it's going to save us time and energy. So that's all at the back end, and there's a few steps there that will really help filter out the right people and getting those people to show up as well, because show up rates is also a big thing in terms of when people book a call. Even show up rates on webinars, big thing. We haven't even talked about this, because the way I teach it, I get 73% show up rate, which is really high, because if you did a live webinar, and even if, say, 100 people did register, on average, you might get 20 or 30 people, that's 20 to 30%, show up live, and then maybe another 10% watch the replay. My figures are very different because of the way it's structured, because we tap into YouTube, because we use all the software and how it's all sequenced. And they watch, well, 73% watch live, and then a further 16% tend to watch the replay. So there are replays afterwards as well. So I think you get the gist as to what the moving parts are. And that the beauty is, I have to say, it might sound a bit complicated. And yes, there is a lot of groundwork, but that's exactly what I'm here for, to do. And I have a done for you element as well, so that all the tech and everything else is taken care of. And the beauty is, once you've put it in place, you can use it forever. Yes, if you want to update the webinar and you're not quite happy, or change the offer around, even don't even need to mention the offer, you just say book a call because I can help you. It's so evergreen, right? But you can just tweak or create a second webinar and duplicate everything. It's so easy and seamless once you've put that foundational engine in place, because you can use it over and over again. It does all the heavy lifting for you in terms of selling until someone actually comes on a call with you.
That sounds like the most efficient, well-oiled system to generate consistent leads, and 73% show up rate is insane, because honestly, like you said, yeah, at most 20-30% is the like percentage of show up, and 70%, which means, like, even if you're talking to 10 people only, if you're able to bring in only 10 people organically, 7 of them are going to take the time and make the effort to listen and then book a, obviously some will drop off, but they're going to book a call. So this seems like an amazing system that you don't necessarily have to like run it constantly and keep paying for ads. But every time you are in the phase where you know your clients are going to end their term or contract, you can then start running, and within a few weeks you will have a wait list of people. So amazing, so amazing.
Absolutely. Or you can just have your program open all the time, and it doesn't matter. That, again, is something I help my clients think through around: how can you have more capacity without putting more time and energy into the coaching business. You know, most run 2-3 hours of coaching, and they can have hundreds of people in their program. So yeah, it's also a very, very scalable proposition.
Yes, yes. And I understand, like, for something to work this efficiently, you have to put in some time and effort in the foundation. So that makes total sense. And yeah, you said it may seem complicated. I don't know. I have the kind of brain that probably doesn't look at it as complicated. It feels so simple and so logical and so well streamlined that I am so impressed. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are also very curious on how they can get all of this, how they can work with you. And I want you to share a little bit about how people can reach you.
Yeah, thank you, Seema. So I'm on social media, usual suspects, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I have this resource page, as I mentioned before. Just go there and have a look at what's there. You can email me directly as well. Each page should have a contact email address. Otherwise, you just shoot me a message on one of the social media platforms. But if you are specifically interested to learn more about the webinar structure, then it's on this page. So you would opt in to the webinar planner, and then thereafter you will be sent to this particular webinar funnel, the registration, and you will actually see how it all works, because you will opt into my own webinar, because I don't teach anything that I don't do myself, very importantly. And if you're on that page, you can also check out the books. All the books that I've mentioned in this podcast are there as well. Each of the books have a section where you can download bonuses as well, because remember, it is a collaborative, inspiring kind of book project. And one of the reasons why I've put this together was so that we can actually reach more people and empower others on that pathway, and also highlight some of the amazing women that have incredible gifts, and we wanted to freely make that available. So thank you for the opportunity.
I'm going to put all the information in the show notes. It was amazing to have you as a guest here, to pick your brain on how an introvert can use webinars as a way of marketing without doing all of the heavy lifting and constantly being on social media. Thank you so much for sharing all of your amazingness over here.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm really glad that I could, even if I inspire just a handful of people, we just need to show up. And I think it's just a reminder that it doesn't matter whether you're introverts, extroverts, male, female, any age. It's about us being our authentic self and just following our desires.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Impactful Introvert podcast. If you want to share your views, opinions, or ask me questions, then please send me a message on Instagram. My handle is Seema Pateel. See you in the next one.